Seriously, guys, how are they doing this to us? We're keeping an eye on these 9 diseases that keep epidemiologists up at night. And guess what? Some of them may be homegrown right here in the good old US of A. Care of pharma giant Pfizer. Now, you know what they say? Follow the money. And if you've been following the stock market like I have, you'd also notice how Pfizer's profits have been dropping after a record year as C-19 vaccine demand drops. Investors, they're not all that happy. So, what does Pfizer do? Maybe create their own virus and infect people and make money out of it? Don't believe me? Well, here it is, straight from the horse's mouth.
About why this is so pernicious. Because the people who approved that vaccine and who are supposed to be holding Pfizer responsible and accountable for its role in the public health system are on the take. They're basically on the take because they are banking on getting a big job at Pfizer when they leave the FDA or potentially the CDC, as they have been doing for years. That's where they cash in. These public regulators who are looking out for us. And they discuss that too. Here's an interesting soundbite on that exact point. Soundbite 8.
A revolving door for all government officials.
Wow.
Yeah, for any industry though. So like in the pharma industry, all the government officials who review our drugs, they come work for pharma companies. Like the military, like all the army and defense, government officials eventually go work for the defense companies afterwards.
How do you feel about that revolving door?
It's pretty good for the industry, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's bad for everyone else in America.
Why is it bad for everybody else?
Because if the regulators who have to approve our drugs know that once they stop being regulated, they want to work for the company, they're not going to be as hard for the company. They were doing their job.
Right.
They called C-19 their cash cow and are currently working on some gain-of-function research with it. Meaning, does this mean that they could possibly evolve the virus, weaponize it, and potentially kill more Americans? But why would anyone want to do that? Oh, maybe so that we can go ahead and create another vaccine, reap billions of dollars from world governments. Dirty, wash, rinse, repeat. I'm not really even surprised at this point. A pharma company wanting to rid the world of disease is kind of like a weapons manufacturer wanting world peace. What do you guys think? Should we let Pfizer and all the vaccine pushers just get away with this? Drop a quick comment down below. Also, if you own a home, make sure your home is protected. Get your free home warranty quote. There's a link in the description down below of this video. It was what, 3 years ago now that the WHO made a landmark declaration. A novel C-19 virus that had been first identified in China had spread to a degree where it was now a public health emergency of international concern. We didn't mind it at first until C-19 started shutting everything down and killing people left and right. Fast forward to today, experts are still trying to figure out this whole C-19 deal. Now, at the same time, they're already talking about possible next pandemics. That's why the World Health Organization keeps a list of viruses and bacteria with pandemic potential. A little bit suspicious, huh? The two factors that we're looking at, the virus's ability to spread and the ability of humans to treat them. You would think that they would also add the virus ability to kill people. But hey, I'm not the scientist here. In late 2022, the World Health Organization convened more than 300 scientists to assess and update this list. It just makes me think though, if disease experts get a hold of this list and then are recruited by pharma companies such as Pfizer, maybe Johnson & Johnson, maybe AbbVie, who all depend on viruses and sickness for their profits and to sustain their business and of course their bottom lines, I wonder what they could possibly think of doing. Now, of course, your guess is as good as mine, guys, but more on that idea later. First, let's go through the list and let's just kind of see what kind of viruses keep epidemiologists up at night, shall we? So first, there's the Nipah virus from fruit bats, including those called flying foxes and domestic animals such as pigs, horses, cats, and dogs. So this Nipah virus can be transmitted to humans from animals or contaminated foods. It can also be transmitted directly from human to human. It has a pretty high fatality rate at about 40 to 75%. Now, as it says here, the virus can also cause encephalitis or swelling of the brain. And even worse, there is no vaccine available for either people or animals. They're still trying to develop monoclonal antibody therapies. So far, Nipah virus outbreaks occur almost every year in parts of Asia, but there are known ways to prevent spread of this particular virus. Prevention efforts include avoiding exposure to bats and sick animals, avoiding consumption of fruits that bats may have nibbled on, and not drinking certain raw juices from fruits that bats feed on. The risk of international transmission can be lowered by washing those fruits and fruit products thoroughly and peeling them before eating. So that's why we wash our fruit so thoroughly. Now, another scary sounding virus is the Crimean Congo hemorrhagic fever. It definitely feels like the Black Plague, especially since people get it from ticks and livestock as well. You can also get the virus from another person through close contact with blood or other bodily fluids from an infected person. It has a 10 to 40% fatality rate, and it's something that happens regularly in Africa, the Balkans, and the Middle East and Asia. The virus causes severe outbreaks of viral hemorrhagic fever, a condition that can damage the body's organs and cardiovascular systems and often includes severe bleeding. Now, although a vaccine is in use in Bulgaria, no research has been published on how well it works, and it's not licensed anywhere else. Other vaccines are in development, and an antiviral drug called ribavirin is supposed to help treat infections. The pandemic potential? It's difficult to tell when an animal is infected and should be avoided, and the WHO says that the ticks that can carry this virus are a lot and widespread too. The threat could be reduced by trying to avoid tick bites and wearing gloves and other protective clothing when around livestock. Now, this next one, you guys may have heard about it. It was in the news a couple of years back, the Zika virus coming from mosquitoes. Now, this one's rarely fatal, but what makes Zika so scary is that it can cause severe brain defects in fetuses, including microcephaly. It's also been linked to miscarriage, stillbirth, and other birth defects. Plus, they don't have a treatment or a vaccine for it. We definitely need to keep a watch out for these Zika-carrying mosquitoes as they live in North America along with the Pacific Islands, a number of countries in Central, South America, and the islands near West Africa. Now, another one we've heard of, most probably the Ebola and the Marburg virus disease from bats and non-human primates. Now, after the initial spillover from an animal, humans spread the viruses to other humans through direct contact with blood or other bodily fluids of a person who is symptomatic or who has died from the disease already. The viruses can also spread through objects or surfaces contaminated with bodily fluids, and even through semen from people who have recovered from the disease. They're told the average fatality rate is about 50%, though rates have varied from anywhere between 25 to 90% in past outbreaks. These viruses can spread quickly in healthcare settings, especially when proper sterilization is not used. However, the disease spreads only when a person is symptomatic, so that makes it a little bit easier to control. Vaccines have been used for Ebola in Guinea and the Dominican Republic of Congo. Monoclonal antibodies approved by the Food and Drug Administration in 2020 can also help with treatment of Ebola. Vaccine for Marburg virus are also in development. There's the MERS, or the Middle East Respiratory Syndrome virus from camels. Yeah, I'm starting to feel like almost all animals are trying to kill us at this point, right? Now, I wonder why. Anyway, after the initial spillover event from camels to humans, this C19 virus also can spread from person to person through close contact with an infected person. And with a reported fatality rate, meaning it could be higher, of 35%, the MERS virus has reported infections across 27 countries since 2012. Pandemic potential? 27 countries have reported infections since 2012. Now, unlike SARS-CoV-2, this C virus that causes MERS grows deep in the respiratory tract, making it much less likely to be transmitted through sneezing and coughing. Then the last one, the virus yet unknown, or disease X, as they call it. In her work with bat viruses, Raina Plowright of Cornell University says that even in the small proportion of bat species that have been studied, the animals carry thousands of viruses, and we have no clue how many present risks. This is what she says. We don't have the technology to take a sequence and say with certainty that it can infect humans or transmit from human to human. We're blind, really, end quote. You also have those deadly variants to consider. She says, just the tiniest genetic change can have a huge, profound effect. What if we had a pathogen with a 50% fatality rate that transmitted efficiently, end quote. That's scary. And who stands to benefit from all of this sickness and death? Well, the pharmaceutical industrial complex. Now, you saw the video earlier. Now, of course, Pfizer is trying their best to cover their fannies. After it went viral and gathered millions of views, Pfizer said that they have not conducted gain of function or directed evolution research during their C19 research. What I showed you was just a snippet. Really, it goes a whole lot deeper than that. The video lasts almost 10 minutes, a large part of which showed a person talking about internal operations at Pfizer, which includes directed evolution, among other things. The person also said that C19 is the company's cash cow, adding that the company is trying to mutate the novel virus. He also warned the person he was talking to promise you won't tell anyone. With 23 million views on Twitter, Pfizer really can't hide it anymore. According to the media outlet that released the video, the person is Jordan Tristan Walker, Pfizer Director of Research and Development, Strategic Operations, mRNA Scientific Planner. Now, here's the shady part. Pfizer didn't admit or deny if Walker is an employee. They didn't mention the video in their announcement either. But the media outlet did post photos and screenshots of what they claim to be the internal Pfizer document showing Walker's position in the company. In another video, the same person grabbed a tablet tablet computer and smashed it to the ground after they showed him the viral video. The video's subtitle showed the person saying, "You just can't record people like that." Like I said, there's always more to the story. The person said that they literally lied in the viral video to impress another person while on a date. Just reminding you guys, never forget what these companies have done and are still doing, especially to people on fixed income like Social Security and SNAP benefits, who are the ones who are most affected by what they're doing. Time to hold these pharma companies accountable. Pfizer may be denying it, but those numbers, they really don't lie. After their record year with the C-19 vaccine, Pfizer is now facing a sheer profit drop as demand for the shot is waning. Already, 3 analysts have downgraded the drug giant stock. The stock is now down 14% this month versus a 2% decline for the S&P 500 healthcare sector index. Plain and simple, sales are declining for its 2 C-19 blockbusters, the Comirnaty vaccine and Paxlovid. Analysts already expect Pfizer's 2023 revenue to drop 26% amid signs that the demand for C-19 vaccines has faltered. The European Union is in talks with Pfizer about reducing or deferring deliveries, accounting for roughly half of its 2021 order of 900 million doses. U.S. demand for C-19 vaccines and booster shots have also slowed markedly, especially with the government putting more holds on C-19 funding. Wells Fargo cut the stock to equal weight from overweight, saying that, quote, Pfizer needs a C-19 reset before the stock could work again. Bank of America analysts, they called Pfizer a show me stock and said, quote, our previous buy thesis was centered on Comirnaty/Paxlovid driving robust cash flow earmarked for acquisitions. But as total C-19 revenues erode, there is less available and at a time where new product growth looks less certain, end quote. The way I'm reading all this, it's like the plot of a movie right before the mad scientist gives in and releases the virus that kills half the world. Pfizer really needs to make those numbers, and I wouldn't put it below them to sacrifice a few million American lives to get it done. You know what I'm saying? We'll be sure to keep an eye on Pfizer's dealings. Don't miss out on one single update, guys. Always make sure to stay subscribed and make sure your notification bell is turned on. Now, I hope you guys got all the information in today's virus update and daily news report. Viruses that keep epidemiologists up at night, the Pfizer viral video admitting how they made C-19 their cash cow and are experimenting on new viruses to potentially release into the world. And of course, their very dismal stock performance to prove it. And if you guys missed something, feel free to rewind this video and watch it again. And speaking of, we also have our playlist section that you can always visit, catch up on any updates that you might have missed. They're always there, guys. Be sure to check that out after this one. And hey, thumbs up if you liked the video, subscribe if you loved it. Appreciate you guys. I'll see you on the next one. Be safe.